All right. I think we are back. Excited to get back into this. It's been a week. It's been a while. But I think we're making some really good progress on this the last few times especially. Like I always want to do, let's jump in real quick and just, oh my gosh, I forgot we have all this stuff. Okay. Let's start that again. I think we need to add a delay to where all the enemies spawn because that's insane. And that just looks weird, but I think it's going fine. So we got our spawn working. I don't know why they fly immediately towards us, though. What's it look like here? Because they really come in hot, don't they? Okay. I mean, that was more tame. So for the enemy logic, at some point, we do want to add... I don't want them to fall through the platforms or jump off platforms to get to us. I kind of maybe we do a ray cast and they look down. And if they don't see a platform, then they can't move any further that way. Something like that. But that's fine for now. I think today I want to start getting into some of the mechanics of finishing a level. So when we go in there, it checks how many enemies started. I added this little green cylinder that's just going to act as a trigger for the end for right now. So the three things I want to happen. We get to the end, it triggers, yes, you've reached this. Cool. But then it also checks, are all the enemies dead? So we'll just have a simple counter that keeps track of how many enemies spawn. Then each time an enemy dies, it subtracts it or something like that. It's either going to be that where we call it each time an enemy dies and subtract each time, or just have a variable that continuously checks all the game objects with the enemy tag, which I don't like as much. I don't feel like it's as clean. So I think it's easy enough for us to just go in there and just, as soon as the enemy's dead, on death, we'll send it to a different component to count down. That's not what we want to call that. Level manager. And then the other thing is when we're done, we want it to stop our timer. So we do have a timer that counts down. Nothing fancy. You could see, can you see? No, you cannot see. But yeah, it just counts down. We have it in the console. Nothing too crazy, yep. It just counts down. You set each level has a set time. And yeah, we want to stop that because then it can show how much time we have left. And then also on our level manager, if the time runs out before we finish everything, we need it to just like boot us out of the level or disable the player character or something for now. We'll just have it go, set it to a different method in the level manager, and probably just do a debug log right now. That way we know it's working. But yeah, I think that is the play for today. I don't know where I want to get started. But that's fine, let's go. I made a new script for level manager. And this is literally just gonna check Yeah, it's going to keep track of the time, anything else level-wide. When we meet all the criteria for finishing the level, we'll make it run through here, and it'll hopefully control all that stuff. So we do want a variable. So we want int total enemies. And then we don't want that. We want another one for remaining enemies. And that's not how you spell that. And wow, this is how today's gonna be. Public int I guess it could have been enemy count. That's fine. We'll do total enemies, remaining enemies. So total enemies is going to come from our spawn manager. So we want to make sure that we can send it here. Right here we want to send total number spawned to level manager. So we want to do right there, and that'll get us our whatever this is. Our total enemies. That's right. Let's get our total enemies there. On our enemy health, enemy death, we want to decrease remaining enemies. This is in the level manager. So each time we kill an enemy, we send something over to our level manager, keeps track. And here we want to have a void complete level. And that's just what's going to happen when we meet everything. And then we'll have a game over. So I think game over we can call when our timer hits 0. Under update. So current time is less than equal to 0. Right, because current time countdown. Current time is countdown time to start. Current time is greater than 0. Equal to 0, we want to bring in the level manager. We just bring it in that way. This is where I always forget. What else do we bring in? So I guess our enemy a range attack. We have range attack point. Enemy object. Enemy object. Okay, because we have the enemy, we can pull those components off. And then since we have the, I'm wrong spot. Wrong spot here. Wrong spot here again. Timer, that's where we're at. level manager, and then we'll have public. Level manager. Object, and then level manager here. Cool. And that's and then the manager, game over. Gotta make this public. You're gonna have any issues there. It should, current time's less than 0, should run game over. And level manager game over. We're just gonna have a debug.log. Game over. Cool. Let's just try that out. Should be pretty straightforward here. Let's go to our, we don't need all this right now. Our level manager. We have a level manager script, but we need to go to our timer. And save that. Okay, and now it wants timer. It needs our level manager object. And no, we might not have needed both of those. That's fine. I think we just needed this because it's going to pull the level manager component from the game object we dropped in there. That's yeah, let's just get rid of that. Make it less confusing. And in here, okay, level manager, go. Game over. Not a good start. It shouldn't be saying game over every single frame. Okay, so it's counting down. I should not have done it that long. Sorry, I did set my countdown timer before. Let's just make it 10 seconds. Let's try this out. Make sure it's counting down. Yep, 8, 7, 6. I just want to make sure that, oh, why did it go back up? Why is countdown at 50? Okay, it is saying game over. Why are we rocking two different timers? Huh. We don't default to 50 anywhere. Level manager just is doing that. Okay, we really don't need to do that. Let's try that one more time. That was weird. That was weird. Okay, I'm just looking for it to... Why did it start counting down from 60? Countdown 40. I am so confused now. What in the world is that? Current time. If countdown time, current time is less than or equal to 0, game over. That does the same thing here. This breaks out of this loop. Where does the 60... Anyone have any clue? Where would the 60 seconds come from? Countdown time's 10. We run it. So it sets our current time to 10 and it's counting down. One, 0. Okay, game over is being called. Good, good, but we still have another... And I also don't want this. Definitely don't want this like this. Oh, you are... Okay. Oh, I do. I accidentally threw one on the level bounds. Yeah, no, you're totally right. There's... Does that say Visual Studio has 2? Hey, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, I threw it on the level bounds like an idiot. There we go. And we also don't want the... So this works, it calls it, but it's going to always call that, right? So we only want it to call it once when the timer's down. So while... See, this time I put it on too many things instead of completely forgetting it. It's weird how that works. So if I call the... Can I just call this here? Right, because it's going to do this, and then it's going to break, and then it's going to do that. Let's check that out real quick. Seems good. Okay, good. Yep, timer's looking good there. I don't know if that's the best way to do the timer, but I mean, logically, we can do that and tweak that. And time's over, game over. Did it once. Beautiful. Exactly what we wanted. Okay. So that gets called just like we want it. Player health. Current. We should also call it here. Let's just copy this thing as well into our player health. That way when we die, we can call game over. Player death, so actually let's do it here. Players died, game over. And then on our player, we're now going to need to drag the level manager onto there. All right, so should we get a game over call when we die? Game over, yep. Player died, game over. Cool, I like that, I like that. That's looking good. And then we also want in our spawn manager, we want a public level manager. Spawn manager, let's add that before we forget. Enemy spawn, that should have the spawn manager on it, level manager. There. And then on our level manager, let's do game over complete level. Let's initialize so here we want to, at the spawn manager, we want to spawn enemies. Spawn enemies, we want to send them here. So we want initialize enemy. Is that what it's called? Initialize enemy. And we want to send over the number spawns. Yeah, and then we'll go in our level manager. Is that how I bring that through? So that'll spend number of spawns and total enemies now equals I don't even know if I need to do that, to be honest. The plan with this one is to keep track of all the enemies, because in order to finish the level, all the enemies have to be defeated. So the spawn manager, based on the level, is going to have a different number of spawns. So when the enemies are spawned, I want to send that to our level manager, which will keep track of how many are total in the thing. But I guess we can just keep track of the game objects with the tag enemy on it. You do it full the reverse way. You'd have this level manager tell the spawn manager how many it can spawn. I mean, that makes sense too, right? You want to do it that way? I think that makes sense. I think so, yeah, because our level manager should be kind of the one that's overriding everything, right? It takes into account the timer. So our level manager, we should set the level time, the number of spawns. The spawn manager can be what type of spawns. But it depends. Those managers make the level managers described. So if we do it that way, we'll really want the level manager to be the main thing. So we have our timer in here, spawn managers in there. Then our public ones, I guess our remaining enemies. Is that something we want to track in the level manager? Yeah, and it's very easy to set that in the level manager all in one spot. Do you think the level manager should keep track of the enemy spawns, or do you think all that's in the spawn manager with all the enemies and then send something to the level manager once all the enemies are dead? It sends a bool or a 1 or 0 to spawn manager saying, yeah, we're good, enemies are dead. I guess we can do some like other things here. Like level manager can have like string then you only need to track enemies. If you only need to track all enemies, no other logic is better to track it only in the spawn man. Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's for the level, that's the only, there'll be a set of things, criteria that have to be met. If enemies are dead, if timer is greater than 0 and you reach the endpoint, then you're good. If you're at the endpoint, but there's an enemy left, no good. If you're at the endpoint, but your timer's gone, which shouldn't happen because we already have that game over, then you're not good. Yeah, I guess we'll have a level name. Just randomly, total enemies, level time. What else would be? What else would be important here? Then at the start, we can initialize timer. Yep. Yeah, they wouldn't have to reference it. It'd be the other way around. We'd be sending stuff to the managers at the start of our level manager. We would run, say, enemy spawn. And then we could send total enemies over. Say, right? And then our spawn manager start oh, did you? You can make a Discord server? You think so? I mean, I could definitely do that. I think it's nice. I mean, just taking a step back and not tempering expectations, but like realizing this is a long journey and that little things you work on can lead to big things. I think it's something that aspiring game developers or even people doing it for kind of a hobby need to realize that it's not all going to happen in a day, and you got to be realistic with everything. Shoot, I can go ahead and try to make a Discord server. I'd sit and chat on there. Let me add it to my to-do list. I got a lot of to-dos. Not a lot of time. But I think that's simple enough to get going. Yeah, appreciate it, man. So now... Yep. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and it's not like... It's not failing, per se, right? You're still... Each one you do, even if you stop, you learn some subset of skills. But if you're not keeping it within scope and it keeps growing, I feel like you're never going to reach that intrinsic motivation or value that I actually release something. So while you are maybe gaining skills, there's something there that you might not be missing. And then there's just a whole nother side of it to release it, right? I'm never been there, or just like releasing a game's a whole different animal than even doing it. You need to work on some of the marketing, some of the other stuff. If you want it to sell, be profitable, or even get some downloads, you have to kind of think about all that. So it's not just this technical stuff. You kind of let's make an open world MMO and Unreal kind. Yeah, no, I've already tried multiple ones like that. I mean, especially with I don't come from a game dev background. I don't come from a programming background. I don't come from any of this. So it's daunting to start, let alone letting your ideas. Yeah, exactly. Put it up on itch. You don't have to worry too much about the rest of the stuff. You get some feedback and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, and that's the goal, right? So small drips over time, learning bits by bits. Each thing you do, you're adding it to your toolbox or your arsenal, and you can eventually end with a beautiful cavern, or that MMO that you're working towards. Bit of software dev. Yeah. Yes, I mean, I feel like a lot of that would probably carry over the business side of things. I guess if it's just business software, you're probably in the nuts and bolts. Also lack of industry. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can have the same exact game that does the same thing that is built basically complete opposites, right? For game dev. To move a character, there are unlimited ways just to move a character across a screen. Sure, some are better than others, and there are some better practices, but there are no standards on how you move from point A to point B. Which, I mean, it's kind of nice, but it also makes it... Yeah, the code's... I've started doing I did a lot of tutorials to learn, which I think to get familiar with the environment and how the script interacts with the engine and stuff like that, that's good. You learn certain things, but then you get to some of the code. Sure, it does what they want it to do, but it's not scalable usually. And it's very focused on, I guess that's kind of along with scalable. It's just right to the exact thing they want to do there. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is working on making things snappy, smooth on the gameplay, the physics. More like unflexible. Yeah. Yep. That's kind of what I'm thinking. You'd have to basically hard code it 10 different ways in order to make it work for 10 different things. You might as well be throwing numbers in your code instead of variables for a lot of those things. Okay, select spawn locations. You have a new method. What'd you figure out? What'd you crack? Okay, spawn location list, that's good. Number of spawns, okay. So I think right here we just want to Gotcha. So getting the really good skeleton down to see how things interact with each other before worrying about. Ah, gotcha. Because if you're doing it that way, you can do all and then you don't even have to worry about the specific syntax for each engine, right? You just where you're gluing it into the engine. You can get it all there and then figure out how to tie it into the actual engine part of things. Yep, exactly. See, now that's what we're talking about, flexibility, right? That's exactly where everything else. That's good. I bet you can pump out things a lot quicker like that too, because you can stay really familiar with one and then be able to bounce around should you need to. Now, where was I here? Set spawn locations. No, we want to. Hey, Mario, how's it going? Welcome back. Oh, want to do that. We're just working on getting our level manager up and running and checking if we meet all the criteria to finish a level. Cleaning up some things right now. So this needs to be spawn manager. Oh. If I could spell, would be great. See, now you're speaking things way outside my level of knowledge. One day I'll know what those words mean. Oh no, what'd I do? It's because I have this. We don't want that. We want to bring in the number of spawns from there. Okay, number of spawns. Ah. We need to set this up somewhere. Can I just drop this in here then? That's only going to run that time because we don't do it anywhere else. So that should be good. Spawn enemies. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Man, that sounds like how to do it. I'm gonna try to finish one game here. Maybe after that I'll learn how to start optimizing how I go through this. Sorry about that. Where was the other error? So we got spawn, we have number spawns, spawnless spawn locations. Okay, I should run spawn enemies. Okay, then this can go in. What's the separate screens for? We got something weird going on? Separate screens on Unity? Oh, yep, on Unity we have sorry, we got the game view or the scene view and then the game view. So one's what it looks like when you're actually playing it, one's when you can zoom around the scene, things like that. This is what you actually play. Oh no, I don't know how to do multiplayer yet. I don't even know how to, it's one day that's the goal, is to make a nice MMO, right? What's yelling at me? Looks like spawn location. And then after that's done, then we can spawn our enemies. Spawn location in selected locations. We don't call out the... Okay, this should work, right? So our spawn time, we set the levels here, we set the time. Timer, we also want to initialize. Our timer. We do it like this. Have this be called out in here. Does that work? No, it's good. Am I going to do it? I would love to. I also would think I would love it to be a community thing. Hey, Bulb Turtle, what's going on? I'm terrible at art. Let's just throw that out there. But I think it would be fun to do it all just to know what all goes into it. But I think it would be at the detriment to how the game looks. But if we can get a big enough community and everyone wants to jump in and all start messing around with the art, I'm all for that. I would love it to be... Yeah, exactly. It can be a deep rabbit hole, which I don't know if I'm willing to take on. But maybe. I remember ants. Hey, that could be some of the charm though, right? Yeah, this doesn't work. Can we just do it in here? Oh, that's not where that needs to be at all. What are you trying to model it in? Are you using gosh, why can't I think of that one right now? The freeware one. I guess this should be a float. Blender, yeah. Blender, that's what I figured. I've messed around with that too. Trying just some tutorials to try to learn what it is. We want this to be a float. Making grass of 10 little strands. Yeah, see, I don't know how... it blows my mind how people... Because I've watched some videos and some shorts or whatever, how quick people can be at making these crazy models, which I guess with anything, you get 10, 20, 30,000 hours into a task, then you can do things pretty quickly. But it blows my mind. And I wish I could do something like that. Timer, okay. Float, countdown time. Got that. And then we just want to wait. Does this work? Can you pass it like this? Does this have to be an int? No? Name, countdown timer, start. Countdown. Well, let's just try this to make sure nothing is too broken. Cool, just like we wanted, nothing spawns, and game over. Spawn manager, level manager. So initialize total enemy. Oh, I know. Well, I know one thing I was wrong. Level name is test level 1. Level ID is 01, just for fun. 5, 10. Okay. Hey, all right, all right. The timer is working. Game over. Why? It's because level timer current time is. Why is it calling game over? Wait, you missed so much. Yeah, it's pretty crazy right off the bat now, isn't it? Oh, what am I missing with the timer? Is this passing down? I got a circular reference back to the level manager. It's the one in here. All these worked, right? Count, yeah, okay. Those will count down, right? We have, okay, I died. That was that game over. Oh, I think that was it. Because my health was less than 0. So I was always dead. Feels wrong. Yeah. It didn't, like right through here, this didn't feel right to me either. But it worked. Bring in. That one's fine in here? Do you think, because we're, like we were talking before, we have the level manager here, but we're also referencing the timer here. So that one, that kind of circular. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, we're working on a timer for the game over. So we're kind of working on cleaning up everything and also checking all the criteria for a successful level completion. So we're working on that, but we're also now we're going to need to usually it's to memory leak because garbage. Okay. Yeah, so now we're working on checking the I don't think we really have an issue. It's more about syntax and everything at this point. We got our level managers kind of taking control of all the main parts. So how much total time the enemies or the level's going to have, how many total enemies, and all like that. And that seemed like that worked all right. Our timer, sorry, it's in the console over here. But the timer initialized properly. The enemies obviously will work on that. But they all came in properly. And when the countdown hits 0, it calls the game over properly. So I think next we're going to work on keeping track of all of the enemies. So we spawn them. And now we need to just count them. So I don't know what the best way to do that is, whether we just have the spawn manager continuously count the number of objects that have the enemy tag, which I'd rather not have to do that every frame. Store them in a list and just remove it each time it dies. And when the length of that list reaches 0, because I think it's already... Okay. Okay, I'm trying to... Sorry. I was thinking, do you think we should call it from, like, the enemy health? So on enemy death, decrease... I guess this one's actually in spawn manager. We're going to keep track of it in there. See, these are the things, because I don't want... It'd be nice to... It can be propagated back with events. Or how does spawn manager know if an enemy dies? Yeah, that's my thing. Because we could have the enemy object always be attached. I guess if we do a list that stores the game objects that are the enemies, if one is deleted, because right, we instantiate one at a random location. All right, guys, teach me how to do those. Let me pull up, because I've worked with these slightly. So I think that is a good point. Fence. No, I mean, that makes sense. So we want to add a listener to our spawn manager. And we want to call the event from the enemy death, right? Yeah, so this would be enemy event death. And then our spawn manager, listener for enemy death. So when we instantiate this object, enemy spawn object. Okay, so this is spawn location, spawn Game object enemy spawn. That's just so we can take other things. So we'd want to make a list of all. All right. So there's going to be, game object enemies, right? And once we instantiate it, we want to add this, right? Because we're going to go through each location, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. We want to add this to the enemies list. So okay. Hit random. No, because that's got. Sorry, let me see where that. I want to make sure that's the right length. Spawn object length. Enemy spawn object. No, that's not what I want. I want the number of spawns. Also pass number of spawns through here. Oh, no, not wait until this is going to be an int. I just slept down. Public event action. Not something happened. Okay, I need to really. I think that's going to be very helpful. Yeah, they should. No, this isn't what I want either. What if I called it like, and if I want to call it, I would just call on something happen.invoke. Okay. Okay. Yep, I think that's what we will figure out. I also want to store these objects in lists. So we instant. We need this because this already is going to just This already knows the length that it needs to be, right? How would I set this game object that is instantiated into our here? And will this work just like this? Doesn't that instantiate? Yes. Let's see. Yeah, because this works, this sets it. But if I just set this value to equal that, then does it actually instantiate it? I had all sorts of I think I got all censored. Isn't it just star 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 D instantiate enemy spawn? Yeah, it's all censored. That's what's throwing me off. Is it just add? Yeah, I don't know why it likes to. Like that? Just like that, right? Yep. Okay. Okay, so that's good. So we have our enemies list now, so that'll have the length. Awesome. So we just need to decrease the length of this. Each time. Okay, so let's try to figure out how to do an event. Yeah, that's how it always is in the chat. It gets really annoying sometimes. If you have, as soon as you add a period, it thinks you're trying to send me to some fun website, I bet. All right, that makes that a lot easier because it's just going to do it for all of them. So it's already, we don't even have to identify the length or anything like that either. Oh, I probably didn't know. Maybe I did. Was that last week? I think we figured it out. Good. So void my action. Oh, 10 minutes ago, yeah. Oh no, that's that was just complete star. I thought something was screwed up. No, it just showed up as star, star, star. I see that now. Oops. Now we'll have to make a Discord, right? We could share all this stuff to look at too. We can have all the resources. Okay. Okay, so on enemy death, can we do... Gosh, what is the... Do we want the event in the enemy health? So we're going to bring this in here. And then I'm assuming we need it in here too. Hey. So enemy death, we want to... All right, sorry, 1 second. Let's see if we can get this to work. Non-persistent listener. It's runtime. Is this something we want? This, I have no idea where this is going. I've never used this. Yeah, Sorry, this is not. This one will be in the other one. Works better when you spell it right. If anyone knows the syntax and everything on this, or if this is even right. Why does it start with M? Does that mean something? No idea. Seems weird. Yeah. Well, you and me both. Okay. Yeah, I got some syntax open too. Where's the listener? Sometimes it is a delegate. You found the same one. Yeah, I have no idea on this. My Yeah, no, back seat please right now. I'm sure it's gonna make sense once I do it. But I'd love some back seating right here. That's why we're all here. It's exactly why I'm not doing this alone. Okay, so that defined on def as a Unity event. Oh, yep. Okay, so we had a public event on death. And when it dies, enemy death over here. Before destroy. Good call. You want to do on death invoke? Okay, so now invoke. Now we added. It does that. Now we need to add a listener to our spawn manager. Okay. Nope, not what I meant. That's when we first assign the instantiate to a new variable. Okay, how? Okay, that's okay. Gotcha. Instantiate. Is that gonna instantiate multiple? I'm like very do we just need that? Or do we need to set it to a, because this is just gonna get rewritten each time? What is that? Sorry, let me. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I get what you're saying. Cool. Yep. And then you want it to. Aha. You can do enemy dot on death plus equals. Wait, now do enemy dot on death plus or minus. How come I'm not following this one? Enemy dot. No, I think because we call it from the actual enemy object. Well, the on death's in the enemy health. Is it enemy the type of enemy health? Spawn manager? Enemy here would be a game object, right? We need it as enemy health. Oh, okay. Yeah, because we have to get a reference to the enemy health. I mean, since we have devastating, good. Enemy types, enemy health. No, need this. Yeah, how are we going to do that? You're losing me a little bit. I get what we're doing. Because we need to get reference to this to pull this out of it, right? Because it's going to invoke that. And then we have to have it in setting to the list, and then we'll delete. Enemy spawn object is an array of game objects. Which is the types of enemies, the prefabs of the type of enemies that can spawn. So it stores those game objects that are able to spawn before we do a random selection of which one it chooses to spawn at each location. The prefab is just the enemy game object. It's got all the enemy object, the movements, the enemy health, the enemy ranged if it has a ranged attack. It's got the mesh, it's got the colliders and all that fun stuff. If we do that, where are we getting an issue? 58. Oh, that's where we're getting an issue. Yeah, the enemy health is directly attached to the enemy prefab object. Yeah, it's a component on it. I got an error here, actually. On 58. And level manager at 25. So I'm going to see if this worked at this point. $56. So let me try one more time and I'll... Yeah, it's the same error, but it's null reference exception. Yeah, but I guess a good point. No, we're still getting... Only one spawned. That was weird. Oh, it's because it made it through once and then it ran to the air. No, it's getting an error here. Yeah, I'll just print out the whole error here. No reference set spawn manager. Manager 47. Spawn enemies here. Manager C25. Yeah, I don't know. It's saying this is the null that it's adding. Okay, select spawn location. Yeah, no. I think enemy is null when it's coming in. No, it's all good. Half the time I'm silently staring too. Okay, sorry, level manager 25. Okay, set spawn location, total enemies. That's fine, all that works. This works. Yep, you're right. It's got to go first, or else we're going to run into issues before. Yeah, moral support. Hey, we can use all the support we get. And we are getting... No, we're not getting... We're not getting a null. Yeah, that never prints. Reference is not set to an instance of an object. It's probably something stupid. Yeah, it would be really nice. I'm sure it's something... Just need to be... Is this set to the right type on list? Okay. So maybe an enemy health in the unit event instantiated. The health unity event on death. Can you instantiate an event? I've only used it to make game objects. due to on death. Like that. Okay. We still got the same. Still running into the same error here. It's something to do. Doesn't like object reference not set to an instance of an object. No, enemies defined in here, so that's fine. Enemies, that's right. It's all defined in here. What? It's not? Oh, fair enough. Because it's going to get called aha, okay, okay. Looks right. No errors. Okay, there it is. Okay, so now we have our list of enemies set. Yeah, no, that's always okay. Gotta initialize, instantiate the list when you make them. Yeah, okay. Check if enemy is enemy health instead of null. Do I just put enemy health? Enemy health is a type which is not valid in the given context. Oh. To do is. The given expression is never of the enemy health type. Okay, you can't see that. Enemy health is... No, enemy health is... Enemy health is a component attached to a game object. So it's not an actual game object. It's attached to the enemy prefab game object, but it's a component to it. You should be able to get component off of it. Yes. You can... So I'm just gonna put this here. Okay. How do you... Okay, that's how... Okay, so now we have enemy health. Got that. And now enemy health dot on death. Is the order of this fine? Dot. Yeah. What do you tell me to do? Choose like a type. Okay, so that's right. No, boy. Okay, enemy health components variable. Choose like a type. Is it working now? That was weird. That just randomly shut off. Don't know if Unity calls the start when it... Well, let's just see if this works right here. First, I think you should instantiate the on death Unity event in the constructor phase instead of in the start method. For our enemy health. Want to do that up there? Okay, so when we kill something, I really need to not. Players attacking. Cannot attack. Enemy died. Enemy died. Okay, so that does get called. So this gets called, so that's good. But I actually do need to get going. Time's up here. But that's good. We got the enemy died, got the listener, we got the event, we got the listener. Gets that if we can get in here. Now we just need to keep track of all the enemies in there and start, once we call this enemy death handler, we can remove them from the list. You can pass value. Okay, so on our enemy health, we want to pass. Oh, on death. Enemy death. On death. Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking that it already destroys it. Here, let's do. Count or length? Oh, it's because this isn't going to be. Oh yeah, I won't remove it from the list. Maybe it becomes. Does it count? Yeah, can't. Okay. Okay, so we're starting with. Level manager. So we're starting with 5. So hopefully, when we kill one, the debug log says 4. And then that'll be nice and easy. Oh, you look easy. Oh. Let's see. I need to fix my debugging. Okay, let me fix this real quick. Our timer, we don't need to debug each time. For now. Actually. It should always say 5. Because we're not removing. We have to remove the item from the list. Yep. Can you do that right in here? How do you do a little arrow thing? Where? Oh, that'll do it right there. Gotcha. All right. Okay, the first one. It goes down to 1. So it is storing them in the list still, but they're just all nulls because of the length of that list still. But after we killed the first one, the count still said 5, which is weird. But it went down to 1. Is it because... Hold, please. It's the order. I think it's because on our enemy health, remember we call it before the game object. Right, if we put it here, it should count right. That should do it. And this should say, nope, I didn't do it. Thought I had it. There must be. Okay. Yeah. Let's fix this next time. I really do gotta get going now. But that's awesome. I think this is way easier to follow now. Just the way we have it set up too, because everything gets called from our level manager into each of the ones and then pushed back to our level manager. And we got our timer cleaned up. We got our level manager. We got our event and our listener set up. But yeah, I think this is good. This is a good setup for moving forward because now we just need to call 3 events, right? Enemy death, timer, reach the end goal, and we should be there. But I do need to hop off right now. Had a good time. Thanks for stopping by again. It's big help, and I'm learning probably too much at once. You know what I'm saying? But next time we'll be here next week. Yeah, there shouldn't be any issues next week. And we'll keep this going.